Welcome to Subramani. I don't know whether it is good to have experience or not very good to have experience, because when you have experience, you think of all the good, bad, ugly which has happened in the equity markets over the past few years. And then you wonder whether we are in the similar kind of situation where we were a few years ago or a decade ago. Or so what am I trying to say? In 1992, there was a party which was sponsored by Harshad Mehta. I'm not even getting into the merits of the case, but the market was up and everybody thought that the market can never come down. So let's say in 1992, that's what happened in India. In 1999, what happened in the US was there was a dot-com boom. Every share went up. I mean, I remember Qualcomm going up from $4 to $80, so 20 times. And these kind of jumps were happening within a year. It was also that everybody thought the market cannot come down. Your irrational exuberance was at play. But we all know that the market fell. Now, what happens in a market which is very bullish is things which actually create no economic value get a huge amount of discounting. For example, if today a company which is in such a frenzy were to issue a bonus 1:1, the price would go up dramatically. For example, if the share price was 1000 rupees and a 1:1 bonus should technically bring the price to 500. But what happens is it never comes to 500 for what various reasons. It opens at say 550 or 600 and people will say, oh, it is so great, the company is so optimistic, therefore they are issuing a bonus, so it's worth buying, and take the price back to 1000. Now this doesn't make sense, does it? Doubling the PE just because they gave a bonus? No, it doesn't make sense. Or doubling the PE just because it moved into one index, or halving the PE just because it moved out of the index. None of this make too much sense for older people like me who look at a bonus and say, well, there's no economic value add. But Tesla gave a bonus, Apple gave a bonus, and the market was very quick to bring back the price to say, oh, they are great, they deserve it. Look at Tesla. It today has the market cap of all the auto companies listed in US, in Europe and Japan, right? That's the kind of market cap that it enjoys. Is it high? Is it low? We will not know now. We will know much later. Only history will tell us whether Zomato is overpriced at 169 or whether it is fairly priced at 169. It's your call, right? So to understand are we in a boom is not very easy. So being prepared, saying, okay, market looks like it's in a boom, so let me be prepared. Let's see what happens. If every bonus is being treated like this, you can be sure that the market's expectation is wrong. It is also possible that the market is high because people are being pushed into the markets by the interest rates being low. So people feel that the interest rates are too low. I don't agree, because the real interest rates may not be very low, but depending on how much inflation is. Suppose inflation in India is 9%. And you're getting 6% in gilts and or 7% in bank deposits at best. Obviously you're getting a negative return. So when people are getting a negative return, chances are they'll say, oh, can I put money in an IPO and double my money in a week or in 10 days, and then I will do something else. So it is very addicting. So people go for an IPO, people go for an NFO, people think, oh, my money is going to double because the fund manager says great things. So every NFO is collecting a lot of money, every IPO is collecting a lot of money. If this is not a bull market, tell me what is. In 1999 or even earlier, prices used to be very high and people would justify everything. For example, in 1992, there was this replacement theory for ACC saying if somebody were to put up a factory like ACC today, it will cost so much, therefore the price of 12,000 rupees was justified. Every time when there is a price to be justified, the media can think of a fabulous story. Take the example of something like Zoom. Zoom has almost become a common word, like Google had become some time ago, a few years ago, maybe a decade plus ago. Today Zoom is something, let's meet on Zoom, it's a very common thing to say, right? So Zoom has got a huge market cap. Now, will it sustain? Will somebody else come out with something like Zoom? Will Zoom get replaced? 5 years later, will Zoom exist? Will WhatsApp or Facebook or somebody come out with a tool which is far better? Will you be able to do conference calls very comfortably with WhatsApp, right? So all I have to do is create a small group, and let's say 10 of us are traveling. I could just do a WhatsApp call and connect to so many people and meet. So we may not need Zoom. So will Zoom prices go down? Every company looks perfectly justified for a particular reason. There were what, 100 companies or 200 companies or 2000 companies making automobiles. Every company looked justified. Oh, look at the world population, how many cars will be sold, etc., etc. You multiply, and you ended up having just 3 companies, out of which one went into liquidation. So you ended up with 2 companies. 2 out of 2000 is a pathetic hit rate if you're going by probability. You have no choice, right? So many companies fell by the wayside. Same thing could happen tomorrow. So which company to bet on for the long run is a very difficult task to say. So again, I've done one video on humility and patience. Exactly, that's what holds you through bad times. Have the patience to hold and have the humility to accept that we don't understand. Thank you. I forgot to add this. One more great signal of market being in a boom. Even in 1992, there were many people who were saying that, oh, I'm going to give up my profession and do a full-time equity trading. I have no clue where they are. I have not kept track. And now also I hear from nice young in the sense about 40-45-year-old chartered accountants, etc., who think that they should give up their practice and do this full time. That's very sad, because I don't know whether this is going to be sustainable. These are all signals of market being over the top. It's a great time to be doing asset allocation if you believe in asset allocation. There are some people like me who don't believe too much in asset allocation, but yes, I would be sitting in cash, not because I think I should have that kind of an asset allocation, but because I need to have some dry gunpowder. When the market falls, I should be able to buy. So I may not think that HDFC mutual fund is worth buying at 2,600, or Birla mutual fund is worth buying at 605 or 610, but I might think they're a great buy at maybe a 20% discount. So if the market falls 20% for asset management companies or some other companies which I've chosen, I've just picked up 2 companies at random. Believe me, I have both these shares. I also have shares of Nippon, so I am fully invested in the mutual fund industry. Don't try to guess my portfolio. I have all of them, right? So I'm saying, so that was just an example which I was giving. So if I don't have enough gunpowder, how will I be able to buy something when I'm convinced that this is a great buy at a huge discount to today's price, right? So if I see a huge discount to today's price, I may want to buy, and on that day, if I am fully invested and I'm unable to liquidate other assets, it will not work, right? So therefore, asset allocation, therefore cash. In my case, it's not asset allocation, it's waiting in the sidelines, hoping that someday something will be triggered off, maybe 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, I don't know. During that period, I don't mind suffering the loss that my money is not doing anything, because sitting by the side is also a very important thing that money should do. Thank you.